Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into a report that's about as exciting as watching paint dry. But stick with me because hidden inside are clues about a company's future. We're looking at DT Cloud Acquisition Corporation's filing, and it involves extending deadlines and a bit of financial maneuvering. Think of it as a company trying to buy itself more time to find a good deal, and some shareholders cashing out. DT Cloud Acquisition Corporation, that's the name of the game today. This report is like a snapshot of what happened at a recent special meeting they had. These meetings are where shareholders, the people who own a piece of the company, get to vote on important decisions. The main point of the meeting held back in April was to vote on whether to give the company more time to complete a business combination, or in simple words, to find another company to merge with or acquire. They wanted to extend the deadline. They also voted on some related changes to how they manage their money held in trust for such a deal. Finally, there was a vote scheduled in case they needed to delay the meeting. So what exactly was on the table for the shareholders to decide? First, they voted on something called the Extension Amendment Proposal. This was about changing the rules, specifically their amended and restated Memorandum and Articles of Association. Sounds complicated, right? Basically, it's their company rulebook, and they wanted to change it to give themselves more time to find a company to merge with. They originally had until May of next year, 2026, but they wanted to push it to August of the same year. Next up was the Trust Amendment Proposal. This had to do with an agreement they have with a company called Continental Stock Transfer and Trust Company, which acts as a trustee. A trustee is like a financial babysitter holding onto their money. They needed to tweak this agreement to match the proposed extension of time. Finally, there was the adjournment proposal. This was like a backup plan. If they didn't have enough votes for the first two proposals, they could delay the meeting to try to get more shareholders to vote. Now let's talk about who showed up to vote. Holders of over 5.8 million shares were present, either in person or by proxy. A proxy is like sending someone to vote on your behalf. This represented about 82% of all the shares that could be voted, which meant they had enough people there to make decisions. The big news is that the extension amendment proposal giving them more time was approved. The vote wasn't even close. Out of the votes cast, about 4.1 million were in favour and 1.7 million against. The trust amendment proposal also passed with the same vote count. Since they had enough votes to pass the first two proposals, they didn't even need to vote on delaying the meeting. Here's where things get a bit more interesting. Because of these votes, some shareholders decided to cash out. They had the right to redeem their shares, meaning they could sell them back to the company for cash. Holders of almost 327,000 shares decided to redeem them at about $10.68 per share. That's a total of about $3.5 million that the company had to pay out. This means that about 5% of shares were redeemed for cash. Now, what does all this mean? Well, DT Cloud Acquisition Corporation is essentially a special purpose acquisition company, or SPAC. These companies are created to raise money and then find a private company to take public. Think of it like a shortcut to the stock market for the company being acquired. This SPAC needed more time and the shareholders agreed to give it to them. But a decent chunk of shareholders decided that they didn't believe in that decision and wanted to redeem their shares for cash, taking the money and running. In general, requesting more time is not a great look because it suggests they might be struggling to find a suitable company to merge with. So what's the outlook here? On one hand, DT Cloud Acquisition Corporation now has more time to find a deal. On the other hand, the company just lost $3.5 million, which can be seen as a lack of confidence from some investors. The biggest risk is that they won't find a good deal and eventually have to return the remaining money to shareholders after costs, which is not ideal. Ultimately, the success of DT Cloud Acquisition Corporation depends on finding a good merger target, and that remains to be seen. The clock is ticking, but at least they bought themselves a few extra months. Thanks for tuning in to Corporate Decoder. If you found this breakdown helpful, give us a like, drop a comment, and definitely subscribe for more deep dives into the world of corporate filings. Until next time.